annuals. So let me first start by answering a question that we get a lot of, and a lot of people are afraid to ask the question, what's the difference between an annual and a perennial? Very good question to ask. I didn't really understand it at the beginning when I first started working here 17 years ago. Annuals, you plant annually. Every year you're going to plant them. Annuals bloom the entire time, pretty much, that you plant them. So when you plant your annuals, they're going to bloom for the entirety of their life until we get a frost and then they die, unfortunately. And then you replant them each year. I love annuals because I get to change my color every year. If I want to change my color, if I want to do something different, it really does, it gives you a lot of ability to do different things. So that's why I love annuals. They give you so much color. They're great in containers, hanging baskets, and of course in the landscape look amazing. So that's an annual. Perennials you plant and they come back every year. So perennials are extremely valuable in the landscape, in your yard, because they're going to come back every year and they get bigger and bigger and they keep producing more and more blooms. The shortcomings of perennials, if any, are compared to annuals, is they don't bloom for the entire life cycle of their time. So a lot of perennials are going to bloom for a certain time of the year, and then they're going to kind of fizzle out, and then they're going to go dormant in the winter, and then they're going to come back. Now some perennials, like heuchera, and we'll talk about, I won't list any more than that because I'm going to do my top 10 perennials as well. But perennials are great. They have their place, of course. Perennials and annuals can live very happily together in your landscape along with trees and shrubs and everything. You got to have all four components, really. You got to have trees, shrubs, perennials, and annuals in order to kind of really do a great landscape design. So Missy just said, is Bougainvillea an annual in this area? It is an annual in this area. Unfortunately, a frost will probably kill it. A lot of people will bring it inside, but it is an annual in this area. So with that being said, annuals are awesome. I love them. You can change and do so many different things. I'm going to go through my top 10 favorite annuals. And during this time, as I pull each plant up and show you kind of a couple different varieties of each one, I'll also explain how I use them, their uses in your landscape. So hopefully you can kind of learn a little bit about it, what you need to do as far as fertilizing, deadheading, that kind of stuff. I can show you how to do that. So each plant will spend a little bit of time on so that you can get a little bit more information about some of my favorites. The first thing I'm going to start with is pansies. It's not on my list, but pansies, the reason it's not on my list is we're in the spring. It's springtime. You don't want to plant pansies in this area in the spring. Pansies bloom in the cooler time frames. So a lot of us might still have pansies in our yard. We've had a long, cool spring. But pretty soon when we start to hit those warmer temperatures and we last in those warmer temperatures for a longer period of time, the pansies are going to start to fizzle a little bit. When we get up into the 90-degree heat, they're going to die. So pansies in this area we typically recommend doing in the fall. It's a great annual. It's an amazing annual. It would be on my top 10 list for sure. It's just not really the season for it. And there's not a whole lot you can do in the fall, but I just want to mention pansies because a lot of people love pansies. I love them too. So many different colors, but you plant those in the fall, and we're talking about spring and summer, and that's what I'm here to talk about today as well. So if you're interested in pansies, I definitely recommend them. It's what you would do after all of these plants that I'm going to show you. If you do any of these in your yard or in your containers or in your hanging baskets, when those go away, when we hit about that October, November time frame, then you want to plant pansies in its place. So pansies give you all the color all the way through the fall, winter, into the spring season. And then once we get past our frost date, then we can start to plant some of these plants. So I'm going to start off my list. So here we go, a little drum roll. So the number 10 on my list is geraniums. So I've got all these plants around me. I'm going to show you geranium. There's a geranium. So really pretty. I love geraniums. Classic. Of course, when you think of spring, you probably think of geraniums. If you think of plants that your mom probably grew, geraniums, pop, to the forefront in my mind. I remember my mom buying geraniums from McDonald Garden Center in Hampton back in the day. I love geraniums. It's got to be on my list. One of the best plants, and geraniums have come a long way. And that's why I wanted to talk about them for a second. Because geraniums, while a classic plant, and some people, in their experience in the past might have realized that geraniums maybe don't bloom as heavily as they remember. Well, look at this guy. mean, it's been pretty warm. It was pretty warm last week. This thing is loaded. And the reason it's loaded is because they are a form of a zonal geranium. So seed geraniums are a thing of the past. We used to love seed geraniums. They were very easy. It's probably what you used to grow back, 10, 15 years ago. Seed geraniums just come in white, pink, and red. Well, now with zonal geraniums, they hybridized and they were able to get all these flowers, and all those plants are grown from cuttings. And so when you get a plant grown from cutting, it's going to be a little bit more expensive, but you're going to get the characteristics that you want, which is more bloom and easier to grow. And this is the Calliope series, and Calliope is one of the most heat-tolerant geraniums. Really pretty blooms. You've got peach, coral. This one is called Orange Splash. You've got the red. Of course, let me show you the red here. There's that dark, deep, velvety red. Love that color. Let's see if I can get it right up there in the camera. There you go. So love red geraniums. So geraniums are super, super easy. These are both the Calliope series. Calliope are what we feel is the best heat-tolerant geraniums. They're going to make it through the heat of the summer. I love growing these in containers. When you grow them in a container, if you're starting to get real intense heat, if we start to get into those 90, 95-degree days and it's brutal out there, if you grow them in a container and hanging basket, you bring them into a little bit of shade, protects them a little bit. They'll do fine in full sun. It won't hurt the plant. It just might not bloom as heavily, but Calliope usually does better. And then if you bring it into a little bit of shade, it'll continue to bloom. And then as we start to get cooler, they just kick back into high gear, and they just go all the way into the fall. So love geraniums. Geraniums are a classic, very easy to grow, bushy kind of plant. Of course, one of my favorite containers is a geranium with a green spike in the center and some bacopa or some white scavola, a trailing plant coming out of it. So love that combination. Very easy to do. What I do want to tell you about geraniums, though, is geraniums, as well as all of these, and I'll talk about this probably repeatedly, are heavy feeders. So all of our annual plants are going to be heavy feeders. They're going to want a lot of fertilizer. So you want to continue to feed these, especially if they're in containers. We've got drainage holes. Our fertilizer is going to work its way down through the soil and out the bottom of the pot if it doesn't get used up. So it's important to use the right amount, but it's important to continue to fertilize. So feed our plants. We want to feed our plants to keep them blooming. It takes a lot of energy to produce this, so we got to keep that going, especially in containers. In the landscape, maybe not as much. Every 5 to 6 weeks, containers every 3 to 4 weeks. Depends on if you use a liquid feed or a granular. Of course, we love our McDonald green leaf fertilizer. That's what we're always going to recommend. But geraniums do need to be deadheaded. So I'm going to do something here so you can kind of see. One thing you can do is as you kind of get a bad looking bloom like that, you can just pick it off. So you can just take that and pluck it off. Geraniums have all these flowers that come out of this cluster, so you can see that one's got a bunch more to come down here underneath. So you got a lot more blooms to come on that one, but as a bloom gets older like this one, where you start to see it opening up, I don't see many, many more buds, but I do have some dead flowers. You can just go in and kind of pick out those dead flowers. Keep your plant really, really good looking. I always tell you, and I'll tell you for as long as I continue to talk, taking bad leaves off will really help a plant as well. So I've got a leaf in here that looks like that. You can see that. So it's putting energy into that leaf. It's trying to support that leaf. But if we go in and just kind of pull it off, just kind of pluck it off, there we go. I've taken that bad leaf off. It's not going to put energy into that bad leaf anymore, and it's going to continue to be able to put new leaves out and new blooms. It's not wasting its energy. And then I'll also show you how to deadhead. So let's take that one that I was kind of working on. It's getting kind of weak. Let's pretend that this was kind of all brown. I hate to do this, but I'm going to do it just for showing you, the sake of showing you. So this bloom right here, as you can see, is pretty thin. There's not a whole lot left in it. Now, if this was completely brown, this is when you would typically do it. But you can see that stem. It comes all the way down here. It's probably one of its first bloom spikes to come out. So I'm going to take my hand, and I'm going to follow that really hard stem all the way down in there. Let's see if I can get you to see. And then I'm just going to go the opposite direction of the branch that it's coming out of. You'll hear a snap, and then there you go. Great. Actually a pretty good cut flower to use for a little arrangement indoors. But that's how you're going to deadhead your geraniums. And you want to do that because geraniums, one, it's unsightly. It's going to carry that brown bloom, so it's going to be kind of unsightly. But also it'll help it produce more blooms. Every plant blooms for a reason. It blooms to set seed so that it can reproduce. That's why plants bloom, is to reproduce. It's a reproduction process. And so they're spitting out their blooms, so they get pollinated, then they get seeds, and then they go into seed production. Well, we want to stop them from seeding. We don't want seeds popping up all over our yard. Most of the times they're sterile anyways. But when it goes into forming a seed, then it's not going to continue to bloom, and that's what we want our annuals to do. So by taking those deadheads off, we're stopping the seed production. It's going to send out another bloom. So that's how you deadhead geraniums. Geraniums are awesome. One of my favorites, number 10. All right, we're going to move on. Number 9 is, I kind of had to put these two together because I love both of them, but I did want to put these two together. So let me see if there's any. Which top 10 are sun versus shade? I will tell you sun versus shade. So the geraniums are definitely, so thank you, good question. And then I see some other questions. So I'll try and probably get through some of these as I can, but I'll probably do them at the end as well. But yes, great question. Sun versus shade, I will talk about that as we go. Geraniums love sun. They can take a little bit of shade. They definitely can. In the summer, when it gets really, really hot, I usually move mine into a little bit of shade, so they're a little protected from that heat. But Calliope is one of the best zonal geraniums. It's hybridized. It's designed to bloom through our heat. So good question. So let me group these. I had to group these two together because I couldn't put one on the list without putting the other one. I really feel like they're very similar. So my number 9 is Petunias and Million Bells. So of course, this might be, out of all of these plants, one of my favorite plants. I grow it every year since it came out. This is Bubblegum Petunia. So this is the Vista series by Proven Winners. Proven Winners Vista Bubblegum. Really just an amazing petunia. I love pink. Pink is one of my favorite colors in the landscape. I love it on crepe myrtles. I love it on my petunias, begonias. Pink just seems to pop. It pops in the shade. It pops in the sun. So I love pink colors, and you can just see as that color kind of fades. So like there's a newer bloom, that bright pink, and then it kind of fades to that kind of softer pink. Just love that clear pink color. It's just a great one. This is one of my favorite plants, Bubblegum Petunia. Really, really easy, very aggressive growing. So in the landscape, they're amazing. They love full sun, so you can grow this in full sun. Every once in a while, you will have to do a little bit of deadheading. Petunias don't need deadheading. The blooms will fall off. They kind of go away, and then you don't really have to do much to it. But where those blooms were, we'll set a little seed in there, and it's designed to go sterile, so it won't stop blooming. And typically in the landscape, you won't really need to do anything. But in hanging baskets or in a container, I might go through and prune it, give it a kind of prune, midsummer, give it a little dose of fertilizer, a little plant food, get it rejuvenated again. But Bubblegum Petunia, this is one of my favorite petunias out there. So while we're on the petunia kick, I'll show you another one. Sorry, I got plants all around me, so I'm going to have to lean out to kind of show you. So this one's a Supertunia, Picasso in purple. Just to show you that petunias can come in so many different colors. This one's really cool because it's got that lime green edge around the flower. It's a really cool bloom. There's a lot. Petunias come in pink, red, white, purple, variegation. I mean, we've got a really pretty one this year that was like the purple with the white splotches in it. So again, petunias come in multiple of colors. The reds and the purples attract hummingbirds, which is great for hanging baskets. So petunias had to make my list. And then of course I wanted to group Million Bells with it. Million Bells are very easy to grow and come in lots of colors. And I group Million Bells and petunias kind of together because they kind of like the similar things. Million Bells are really just a miniature version of a petunia. So this one is called Double Orange, really pretty orange color, see if you can see that. So again, love my Proven Winners, love all the different varieties that they have. Million Bells are awesome. So petunias are going to spread. Typically, kind of everybody thinks of the wave petunia. That was a really, really popular one back a few years ago. We tend to go with the Supertunias by Proven Winners now. The Vista series is amazing. Bubblegum's part of that. But those are the ones that are going to spread. They're going to trail out of containers. They're going to spread. Some will form domes. If you're ever curious, just again, the tags are great. Proven Winners does a great job with putting all their information on the tag. You can always look at that. And of course, you can always ask us. We've grown many of these plants, so we know, or we can find out who does know. But some are doming, and some are mounding, but most petunias are spreading. They're going to spread all over the place, which is great for in the landscape. I love them. They fill big, big holes. Calibracoria, thank you, Mary, or Million Bells are kind of, like I said, a mini version of a petunia. So that's why I feel comfortable grouping those together. Million Bells are typically going to be a little bit more dome in shape. They're going to trail a little bit. They're definitely going to hang over the edge of a pot. They're really, really awesome because they're a smaller bloom. Again, you don't really have to deadhead them much. They're very easy to grow, and they do great in containers. Awesome in containers. Do pretty well in the landscape as well. You want to make sure you mulch them, keep them kind of cool in the summer months. But I love these in containers. Love them in hanging baskets. They're awesome in hanging baskets. So I got a couple other varieties here. Let me show you. So you can see all the different ones. This one's called Holy Cow. So Holy Cow with that raspberry kind of pink purple color with that yellow center and then that white stripe. So again, look at the variegation on that. Lots and lots of different colors in Million Bells. You can get just your plain colors, your pink, your purple, your whites, your reds, but then of course you can get all these different colors. That one's called Holy Cow, really cool one. Then I've also brought in Holy Moly. So Holy Moly is really cool. There's one called Holy Smoke that's purple with a little bit of white dappling in it. But this one's really pretty with that yellow and raspberry red or raspberry pink color. So that one's Holy Moly. Holy Smoke was another one. And then, of course, probably a lot of us know Lemon Slice. Lemon Slice was really popular, still very popular, because it's that yellow and white variegated bloom. Really, really pretty, great one, but very easy to grow. So not much work to be done on these. Again, they're heavy feeders, so you're going to have to feed them a fair amount. So they do want some plant food. You do every once in a while. Let's see, I don't have a whole lot to show you on this one, but petunias and Million Bells have kind of a sticky-ish leaf to it. They're kind of hairy, and so they got a little stickiness to them. So sometimes you'll get, some of those brown blooms hanging on there, but really easy. Kind of, again, kind of go kill some time and enjoy your plants and just go in and pick some of those blooms out and get rid of them. Just kind of helps clean up the plant. Doesn't really hurt it. And naturally, they will eventually dry up and fall off. You don't have to deadhead them. So very, very easy plants to grow. So that's my number 9. I had to group petunias and Million Bells together. Let's see. Oh, I got one more Million Bell just to show you, just because I can show you how big they can get. I mean, that one's a really nice size. Million Bell, you can kind of see that habit of kind of coming up. So again, they're going to be a little bit more domey in shape. Love Million Bells. Look at that color. That red with that kind of that really darker red as we get into the center of the plant. And then, that yellow throat. And again, sometimes you'll get hummingbirds and butterflies around these as well. All right, so there's my number 9 was petunias and Million Bells, grouped them together, full sun, another great one, blooms all season long. All right, number 8 is going to be Coleus. So Coleus, I had to start searching for some stuff to do in the shade. Love shade gardening. Love my perennials in the shade. We'll talk about those in a couple weeks when I do my top 10 perennials. But Coleus is an awesome, awesome shade plant. There are some that grow in full sun as well. So again, look at that color. I mean, just that really cool color. These plants are amazing. Lots and lots of different varieties out there. So many different varieties. It's very hard for us to keep up with all of them. Hard for us to keep them in stock all the time. So, again, Coleus is one of those that I always tell people, if you're looking for a certain one, kind of keep checking back. We get in different ones every week. But I love Coleus because of all the different colors that you can get in them. This one, of course, has that deep burgundy purple with that lime green edge. So much fun in containers because they do great pairing with things. So think of like sweet potato vine with this, with a pink bloom, purple bloom, something like that. Lots and lots of different variegations in our Coleus, and they're great just as standalones. This is a great one. This one comes in this nice pot right here. So just by itself, sitting on your porch or patio, awesome, awesome color. So this one just happens to be one. Let's see, this one is called Kong Junior Scarlet. So Kong Junior Scarlet, there's a lot of them out there. Again, there's so many different varieties. Let me show you a couple more. So just, you can always ask the question. This one is, I don't know if this one has a name. This one's called Chartreuse Street. So Coleus Main Street Chartreuse. So again, kind of that lime green color. Love that chartreuse color. You're going to get a little bit of variegation with some yellow in there. But very easy to grow. This is just one type of Coleus, just one color. This one's really cool. This one's called Wall Street. So Wall Street, kind of that reddish color. As you can see, if I get it real close, you can see as it kind of gets a little bit older, it gets a little bit more orange, a little bit of that variegation on the edge. You start to see a little bit more lime green coming through. Really pretty Coleus. Love that kind of single color, very easy to work with. Lots of different colors in Coleus for sure. And then of course, here's another one, Coleus Defiance. So Coleus Defiance, that one's got some variegation as well. So Coleus can grow in sun or shade. There are some varieties that prefer shade, and there are some varieties that prefer sun. And then there's some that can blur the lines. So if you're curious and you want to know, again, read the tag, ask us questions. They're just so much fun to use. Very easy to grow. You don't really have to do much to them. Of course, they can get a little spiky bloom on them. So sometimes you'll see that little spiky purple bloom. They're really grown for their foliage, for all their variegation in the foliage. If you don't like the blooms, just go in there and pinch them out. So if this spike came up and started to bloom, I could just go in and pinch it out. If you're looking to grow a fuller plant, if it's starting to get a little leggy on you, then you can also do a little bit of pruning, a little bit of pinching. Let me see if I can show you. So there you go. You can see right there on that branch, we've got all these new little shoots coming out. So those are going to form little branches themselves, but if I want to make them form faster, then I just go in and pinch that out, and then those two new branches will form much quicker. So very easy to grow, love it. Doesn't require a ton of watering either. It'll also tell you when it needs to water because it'll kind of droop a little bit, which is super, super nice for a plant to be able to tell us when to water it. Not an extremely heavy feeder either as we go through the annuals because it's grown really for its foliage. So great colors, lots and lots of different types, sun or shade, a little bit of pinching. If you don't like the blooms, let the blooms go. If you do like the blooms, usually they're kind of a purple in color, spiky purple color. Also, you can pinch back to create a fuller plant. So very, very easy. Great one, Coleus. Love it. Number 8 on my list. All right. So then I kind of went a little crazy with my number 7. Number 7 was kind of a tricky one. I was trying to think outside the box and think of things that I love to use in my pots and in my containers. And I thought, of course, one of my new favorites is Euphorbia. And of course, Diamond Frost Euphorbia is my favorite annual. It's one of my favorites, number 7 on my list. And it comes in 2 different types. I don't know if you know this. This is fairly interesting. So this one is called Diamond Frost, Euphorbia Diamond Frost. And you can see that big open habit. You're probably thinking to yourself, what am I going to do with something like that? Love it in containers. So it's an amazing one in containers. This one's called Diamond Snow. And look at that, just dome shape. I mean, just tons, millions of blooms on one plant here. So this is awesome, awesome. 2 different types of Diamond Frost Euphorbia. So I'm going to put this one to the side for a second. This one I love in containers. Awesome in containers. So easy to grow, very drought tolerant. You don't really have to think too much about it, but I love it in mixed containers. Think about this with that geranium. Let me show you that. So you got your geranium here, and then you mix in this white Euphorbia. It's an amazing combination, very easy to do, and they're just great because they kind of billow in and out. So I use this a lot as a filler. So whenever we talk about our containers, I always talk about spillers, thrillers, and fillers. Fillers is what this does. It pops in and out of plants. It can grow very, very easily, break through the branches and then pop out of another plant. So very, very easy to grow and very, very super, drought tolerant, blooms all summer long, doesn't mind the heat at all. And then, of course, the Diamond Snow, if you just want that big load of white color in a container, this is a great filler as well. It's not going to pop in and out of your plants. So if you're kind of one of those people that love to keep the plants a little separated, love this one. So Diamond Snow Euphorbia, awesome, awesome plant. Diamond Frost Euphorbia. So 2 different types of Euphorbias. 2 different types of uses. Great for popping in and out of plants. Great as a standalone or just as a normal filler. They do have a little tendency to spill a little bit and kind of fall out of containers, but typically going to pop in and out. But just love the doming, that kind of bushy habit of the Diamond Snow. So I'll show you the tag, Diamond Snow, and then that's Diamond Frost. So there's your 2 different Euphorbias. Love these guys. Had to put them on my list because I love making my containers. And I'm always looking for something white, something to brighten it up. And actually, these can grow in sun or shade. So really, they love full sun, but they really can take some shade as well. So if you got a little bit of shade, this is a great one. A lot of us are looking for that white kind of filler or spiller for our containers. Love Diamond Frost Euphorbia. So that was my number 7. Number 7, Diamond Frost Euphorbia or Diamond Snow. I'd put those two together. All right, so then on to number 6. Of course, when we start to think about summer, we start to think about our tropical plants. So, of course, I had to include a very, very tropical plant. And my number 7, or number 6, is hibiscus, of course. So look at that. Look at that bloom. I mean, you can't, if you think of summer, you think of hibiscus. Had a tough choice here between hibiscus or mandevilla. Which one was going to make my list? I chose hibiscus. Hibiscus are awesome. There's perennial hibiscus, there's a shrub hibiscus, and there's an annual tropical hibiscus. Awesome, awesome colors. So many different varieties. You've got this yellow, love this one. This one's called our Trade Winds hibiscus. These are kind of one of our favorite hibiscus, Trade Winds. They come in these nice kind of 6-inch size pots, so they're a little bit of a smaller pot, easier to mix into containers, really easy to grow outside. Put them in a little bit more soil because usually they got a lot of roots in here, but put them in a little bit more soil and they'll just bloom all summer long. Awesome, awesome plant. So I'll show you a couple different tips and tricks on these here in a second. Let me show you different colors. I've got this yellow one. I'll put that right there so you can see it in the background. Pink, of course, they come in pink too. Lots of different colors in hibiscus. This one is a pink one. This one's called Passion Wind. So really, really pretty color. Awesome, awesome. Pure pink. Love my pinks. And then let's put this one back here so you can see that one. And then, of course, that orangey red. So, of course, I think a lot of us think of hibiscus, we think of this orange red with that yellow stamen. So really, really versatile, very easy. Hibiscus, awesome. They love full sun. So this is one that loves full sun. Think Florida. Think the tropics. Think, Costa Rica and down into the Virgin Islands and those areas. This is hibiscus. So awesome, awesome plant. You can bring these in during the winter if you want to keep them year round. But typically, I grow mine in a clay pot. I fill it up with some soil, put this little guy in there. It loves the extra soil. And then when we start to get those hard frosts, I toss it, get a new one next year because I can change my color. That's why I love annuals. I can change my color. One year I do red, the next year I do pink, the next year I do yellow, orange. They come in so many different colors, so many different arrangements of looks. You've got your tropical hibiscus, your trade winds, and then you've got your normal, just regular hibiscus. Mandevillas are great. Don't get me wrong. It was a tough choice. I had to make a choice. I went with hibiscus. So let me tell you about a little bit of maintenance and care with these. You do need to deadhead hibiscus. It will help. Each hibiscus bloom typically will last 1 day. So it opens up in the morning, stays there all day, and then it'll fall off. So then at the end of the day, you got to go deadhead it. Now, you don't have to do all of them. You don't have to deadhead it every single day. But every once in a while, you do want to go through and start to look for the deadheads. So these are obviously the blooms today. These will be the blooms tomorrow. You can see those starting to open. And that was a bloom from the other day. So there you go. So that is going to start to form a seed. And if we get too many of those, then it's going to stop blooming. Again, that's why plants tend to kind of go into, that's why plants bloom, is to form seeds. And if we let it go, it'll form a seed. So I'm going to just go in and pinch that off. Now, a lot of people will pull it off just like that, which is perfectly fine. At least it's gone. But it does leave a little bit of stem, and if you can get that whole stem, it really does help. Let's see if I can find another one. Let's see. Well, we must have done a really good job of cleaning this one, so I'll have to pull another one out. But you can also see there's a newer bud there. So there's a little small one. That one's getting a little bit bigger, so that one's probably 2 days away. That one's tomorrow's, and this is today's, just opening. So again, they're only going to last a single day. These are the tropical hibiscus. Now your perennial hibiscus, we have lots of those. We're going to start bringing those in pretty soon. It's a little early. We've been cool, but the perennial hibiscus is awesome. I know a lot of people love those. They just get those huge dinner plate size blooms. I mean, this is a gorgeous big bloom, almost palm size. But the dinner plate, huge blooms from the perennial hibiscus. And then there's the shrub hibiscus that a lot of people probably know as Rose of Sharon. Rose of Sharon is in the hibiscus family as well. Rose of Sharon will lose its leaves. And then you've got a bare bush. So it's a deciduous shrub. Perennial hibiscus will die off to the ground. So you cut it off at the ground. It comes back. each year from the roots. And then, of course, your tropical hibiscus that won't make it through the winter. You could bring it in. A lot of people that do try and bring them in typically have issues with aphids or mealybug, so they can kind of become a little bit of a nuisance with that. So that's why I typically enjoy mine, and then get a new one next year and try a different color. But they are awesome plants. They come in tree forms. They come with the braided trunks. They come in this great 6-inch size. I love these trade winds. They're much brighter colors than your typical just regular hibiscus, but you got so many different colors. They're awesome. So let me see if I can grab this one, because this one might help you kind of see what I'm talking about, because I really do encourage people to deadhead. So there you go. There's that. A lot of people, again, just pick that off, but it does leave a stem, so you can see that stem there. I want to get it all the way down in there, so I'm going to go in, just kind of pinch it with my fingers. And there we go. I got the whole thing. So you can see I got the stem as well. Which means if I just pulled that bloom off, let's see if I can find another one. Again, we're doing a really good job of keeping these clean, obviously. So I don't have a lot to show you. Bring this yellow one back out. So again, if I just take that one, that seed head right there, and if I just pull that off, I leave that long stem. And then that's going to go brown, and it's going to leave a nice big brown stem. I can show you right there. There's a couple. So there's a great example. Let's see if I can get that shown to you. If you don't take the stem off, see it? It's starting to go yellow right there. And then it goes to a brownish color in there. So if you don't take that off, eventually it'll fall off. But then you've got all these little brown sticks in there. So I do like to go in and take it all the way off. A lot of people get confused too. As they form seeds. I don't see one on here, but sometimes the seed pod will look just like a bloom. So you can always test it by just kind of squeezing it. So there's a great example. That one right there. Is that a bloom or is that a seed? Well, if I just give it a little squeeze, I can feel, oh, yep, that's a bloom. So that's going to produce a bloom. That one's going to produce a bloom. So you can give it a little squeeze. If it's hard on the inside, then you know it's forming a seed. If it's kind of squishy, it's got petals in there, so they're going to come out. So look, petals, tomorrow's bloom, today's bloom, and then usually that means it was yesterday's bloom. So that one's kind of fizzled out. You can usually tell because the petals are going to be a little wrinkled. A lot of people think that one's going to open. This one's actually done, and I can tell because around the edges of the petals, they're faded a little bit, doesn't feel real good. Instead of just pulling the bloom out, so never just do that. The petals, instead of just pulling the petals out, again, you can kind of see where they're frayed from yesterday. So we're going to take that one off, but then we're also going to go in and take that seed head off. So again, that's how you clean hibiscus. I think that's super important to know how to do it. Deadhead them, feed them. They like lots of food. It takes a lot of energy to produce these gorgeous, gorgeous blooms. Some people will go in and actually take the stamens out, the pollen. You can do that if you're using them for kind of arrangements. Some people do that because it keeps it off their clothes a little bit, especially if you've got a bunch of them in an area that you're walking past. You can take and pop those out. I personally love them. I say leave them. So I leave them in there. You can just leave them right just like that. I think that's gorgeous. And then, of course, it could attract some butterflies and hummingbirds and stuff like that. So why not leave the pollen on there? But some people will take them off so that they don't leave marks. A lot of people will get stains on their clothes, but it does come off. Usually with a normal wash, it comes right out. So I leave them, but some people do take them off. So that's really it for hibiscus. Hibiscus, again, take a little bit more maintenance. I love my annuals that are low maintenance, that you don't have to deadhead, so I'm going to show you a lot of those. But hibiscus, I had to put a tropical on there. So it was a toss-up between mandevilla, a vining plant that I think some people maybe don't have the ability to grow. But hibiscus, you can grow in a pot, in the landscape, in a hanging basket. You've got so many versatility, so much use for hibiscus. So if you want that tropical color, hibiscus made it on my list at number 6. So number 5, I'm going up to number 1. Number 5 is Impatience. So Impatience, again, I love my old school plants. I think a lot of us think of Impatience and think of that garden Impatiens. Well, I actually didn't grab any of those. And that's mainly because I don't have a lot here at the garden center anymore. Garden Impatiens are great. A lot of people grow them. We carry them in those flats or those pack form early in the season. Awesome plants, great in the landscape. They do have a little bit of an issue that's popped up in this area. It hasn't been as bad as we thought it was going to be, but it was getting a disease that was causing some concern. It does look like they've bounced back and there's not as much of an issue there. But Impatiens are great. But what I want to show you are New Guinea and Sunpatiens. Look at this guy. So this is a New Guinea Impatient. This is Sonic Orange New Guinea Impatient. Love that color. And just look at all the blooms on that plant. And again, love it because you don't have to deadhead it. It'll deadhead itself. And when we think of impatiens, I think of a lot of us think those garden impatiens. You think white, you plant them in your flower beds, in your shady flower beds, they do awesome. But New Guinea impatiens are going to be a little bit bigger, so they're going to form kind of a shrub shape, not a shrub size. So typically about 18 to 24 inches high and wide. Great little plant, but blooms so profusely with those big blooms, and you can't miss them. Awesome in containers, amazing in arrangements, and really awesome in hanging baskets as well. I don't think I grabbed a hanging basket, but we got some gorgeous New Guinea Impatient and Sunpatient hanging baskets. So that's a New Guinea Impatient. We'll pop this one back here so you can kind of see that down there. And then I'll show you the Sunpatients. So Sunpatients were designed off of a New Guinea Impatient. They hybridized the New Guinea Impatient to give you more sun ability. So New Guineas can take some sun. I don't typically grow them in full sun, and I might not grow a lot of Sunpatients in full sun. And I'll tell you why. Sunpatients do work in full sun. Trust me. Lots of people love them. They do awesome in full sun. But they do tend to wilt a lot. And so if you've ever grown a Sunpatient, you probably notice that they will wilt and hang. And it's because they can drink a lot of water. Now, if it wilts, it's not going to kill it typically. Typically by 6 or 7 o'clock, it's starting to perk back up again. Again, a lot of plants, I always tell people this when I talk about watering requirements, a lot of plants might wilt just to protect their leaves from the intense heat. So not always do plants wilt due to the soil being dry. So if the soil is dry, you got your great test right here. Use your finger. If the soil is wet and the plant's wilting, it just needs the temperatures to cool down. And so when we get into that cooler time frame at night, it'll perk back up and it'll be perfectly fine. And most people will tell you that impatiens probably grow the best when they're dry. So that is the issue with wilting. If you see it in your landscape, Sunpatients in full sun, of course you can water them. They typically are perfectly fine with that. But Sunpatients can grow great in the shade as well. So if you're looking for a great shade plant, these do amazing in the shade as well as in the sun. So very, very versatile. And so great one here. This is called Sunpatient. This is called Compact Purple. I've also got another one here just to show you how dark the leaves can actually get on some of these. So this is called Compact Lilac. So you can see how pretty and dark that almost purple leaf. Really, really pretty. These come in coral, white. Some of them have variegated leaves, orange blooms, coral, pink, purple. The possibilities are endless with Sunpatients. I love them because they can grow in the sun or shade. I think I saw somebody asking about what's the disease for the Impatiens. So it was called Downy Mildew. It got into the soil. So if you've ever grown Impatiens and then all of a sudden in midsummer they turn into stalks and there weren't many leaves or just barely a couple of leaves on the top. And you could sometimes turn over the leaf and look at the bottom of the leaf and it would have little white kind of mildewy looking things on there. And so unfortunately that was a disease that happened to some of our Impatiens. If it got into your soil, there was no cure for it really. We did have some preventative stuff that you could spray and then plant your Impatiens. But once it's in your soil, it was in there for 10 years. And nobody's kind of said that that's still not true. From all I know, it is still true. So if you planted Impatiens, you got the Downy Mildew disease, unfortunately you got to wait 10 years. Now you can plant these. You can plant Sunpatients, you can plant New Guinea Impatiens. It doesn't affect these Impatiens. So that's why these have become so popular. Still love my garden Impatiens. Of course, if you can plant them and you've planted them and you've had great success, awesome. But if you've had some failure with it or if you've had some issues with the Impatiens, you might consider Sunpatients or New Guinea Impatiens. Again, lots and lots of colors. So again, Sunpatients grow in sun or shade. If they wilt a little bit, it's okay. Check with your finger. If it's moist, they're just protecting themselves. But do give them a little bit of drink of water. If you're growing them in full sun and shade, they're gorgeous. So awesome, awesome plant. New Guinea Impatiens and Sunpatients, Lots of different colors, and you're going to find a fairly good amount of choices here. Those are 6-inch. We've got little ones at 4-inch, so really, really good ones. So that's my number 5. That's cut right into 5. So now we're getting close to the top 3. Number 4 on my list is Portulaca or Purslane. So let's see if I can show you. Let's start with Portulaca. So Portulaca, we probably know a lot of people will grab these up in our packs when we have our 4-packs or our trays. But Portulaca, or what I call thread leaf, this one's got a thread leaf look to it, so you can kind of see all those little leaves. Typically going to grow a little bit taller than the Purslane. So Purslane I'll show you next. But Portulaca is a succulent. So awesome, awesome plants. You're going to feel that succulent in there. Awesome in containers. Amazing in hanging baskets, especially in an area where maybe you can't get a lot of water to. They do great in hanging baskets. These are going to form a little bit more domey, shrub kind of look, and then your Purslane is going to trail a little bit. But these will have some trailing characteristics as well. Most of your Portulaca will come in kind of a mix of colors. But this one is actually called Happy Trails, so peppermint. So this one's got kind of that peppermint kind of shaped bloom, or that peppermint colored bloom with the red, pinkish color with the white in there, kind of striped. So really pretty bloom. Awesome, awesome plant. Bees love these guys. And very, 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 very drought tolerant. So that's Portulaca. And then what's Purslane? So Purslane is going to be this fatter leaf. This one is awesome. Yellow color. So here's the trick about Portulaca and Purslane is they typically are going to bloom the best when we have the most amount of sun. In fact, these need full sun. So as much sun as you can get them, they're going to love it. And that's why you don't see a lot of blooms on this plant right now. I tried to grab one of the best example on it. They don't have a lot on them because it's a little bit of an overcast day. So you can see that yellow bloom there. But in a full blazing sun day, all of these would be open. And then they close back up at night. And then they'll open up again during the day. So again, they need sun for these blooms to open. So you definitely want to plant them in sun. Unfortunately, on a day like today, you're not going to get a ton of color. But again, super, super low maintenance. Let me show you another one that I have in a hanging basket. This is Proven Winners. So Mojave yellow. So really, really awesome. Purslane, I just love that bigger leaf. So let me show you both of these so you can kind of see the difference. So you got your thread leaf Portulaca, and then your fatter leaf Purslane. Love this guy. Great trailer. Awesome in containers. Super, super easy to grow. Because again, it's a succulent. So kind of like an ice plant. Think of your ground cover succulents. These are awesome. And they bloom all summer long. Now, they won't make it through our winter months. But great color. Whereas other succulents like perennials, which might show up on my top 10 list, we'll have to see. But perennial succulents might bloom in the summer for a little bit of time. You're going to take those blooms off. These bloom nonstop all summer long. Let me show you what you can get in a hanging basket here. So there you go. Look at that trail. So it's just that gorgeous trail. This one is really, really pretty with that kind of pink apricot color with that yellow center. So really, really easy plant to grow. Love these in hanging baskets because especially if it's an area where I can't get a hose to as much. I can water them with a watering can if I need to get out there if it's dry, but they don't need a lot of water. So you can always check these. They like to get kind of dry. Very, very easy to grow. So Portulaca or Purslane coming in at number 4 for me. Don't have to do a lot with them. Yes, they would love a little bit of fertilizer, a little bit of plant food every once in a while. Sometimes I'll trim them up just to kind of let them kind of rejuvenate a little bit. You don't have to deadhead them. Super, super easy. Full blazing sun. Think hot, think desert. Awesome. Awesome in containers, awesome in mixes. Use them everywhere in the landscape as a great ground cover, flat kind of growing. Really, really awesome. Love Purslane. Portulaca, of course, is another great one. So you got your Portulaca or Purslane. Use them in the landscape. Use them in your containers, in your hanging baskets. Awesome, awesome plant. So that's number 4. Number 3, Scaevola. Scaevola is one of my favorites. So now we're getting to the top 3. This is Scaevola here. I just love Scaevola because when I first started working here at the garden center, I always thought I killed them because they would be like laying flat. They would be hanging over. They would look just awful. And then I'd go splash some water on them. I'd go water them really well, and then they'd perk right back up. And so it's like one of those unkillable plants. I always tell people when they're like, I need a plant that's very, very easy, I tend to go Scaevola because you can forget this guy and it can look almost wilted to death. And then you water it and it perks right back up. Again, plants are wilting to protect themselves from something. Overwatering, underwatering, who knows? Depends on what the soil's like. That's why you got your great tool here. But Scaevola is one of those that I just love. It's a great trailer. I love its trailing habit. So it also comes in, so here's the white one. Also comes in a purple. Love that purple, almost bluish color. So I love to try and get blues if I can in the landscape or in my combos, in my hanging baskets. Love that bluish color. So it's that bluish kind of purple bloom. Really, really pretty. This one's called Whirlwind Blue. This one's called Whirlwind White. And then, of course, the newer introduction is the pink, the Whirlwind Pink. Love my pinks. So there's the pink one. I've got a red bloom in there, so ignore that. So look at that pink, gorgeous color. Love that. This looks great. Love this pink one. Let me see if I can show you one of these blooms. With like those maroon spikes, that almost ended up on my list. But one of those maroon spikes, that kind of grassy cordyline spike. See that maroon color right inside that leaf? I have a combo pot that I love on my front porch. It's a bluish colored pot with the maroon spike and just this planted around it. Because it's kind of a trailer, it's kind of a filler. So it's the filler and spiller kind of all component into one. Love this pink one. But again, whenever you're looking for that white, if you're looking for a white spiller, a lot of us grow Bacopa. I love Bacopa. I love that kind of fragrance. It's got that gardeny fragrance to it. But Bacopa can sometimes fizzle out as we start to get warmer. But Scaevola will keep on going. So again, with that red geranium and a white Scaevola underneath, great combination. So love Scaevola. Comes in lots of different. It comes in those three colors: pink, purple to blue, and then white. Awesome, awesome plant. You can't kill it. Super easy. Don't have to deadhead it. And then look at that. Look at that hanging basket. Love that. That's a mix of the purple and the white. And you can just see it. I love how it grows, how it comes down and kind of pops back up. So it's that great kind of, it'll spill, but it'll also come out. A lot of those spilling plants will just go straight down, which have their purpose. If you watch my container class, love it when it just kind of comes right down the side sometimes. Sometimes I like it to pop out. I want to see it. And these make great hanging baskets, just stand alone. Awesome, awesome plant. Look at that. Just blooming like crazy. Loves it hot. Don't have to deadhead it. Don't have to do anything to these. Super, super easy. It can look like it's dry, like just hanging on barely. Like there's barely anything green left in it. You water it, perks right back up. So super, super easy plant. Of course, give it some food every once in a while. Feed it, every 3 to 4 weeks in a hanging basket like this or in a container in the landscape. They're gorgeous in the landscape. A lot of people don't use them in the landscape. They're awesome. Just kind of a run on the ground. But this is a great one. Love Scaevola. I saw somebody say, how do you spell that? It's a great question. And I'll spell it for you. Scaevola. Scaevola. A couple probably different pronunciations for it. I've always called it Scaevola. That's what's in my head, so that's what I'm calling it. But Scaevola is awesome. One of my favorite plants. Very, very drought tolerant. Very, very low maintenance. And that's kind of what you're going to see as we start to kind of keep on going here to my top 3. So Scaevola is in my top 3. Now we're to number 2. So this is one of my favorite. This was a tough choice between 1 and 2. Really, really was for me. I love this plant. Absolutely love it. And you're probably wondering, was I going to get to it? Maybe if you've been watching the whole list here, where do begonias show up? Begonias are my number 2. And man, do I have a lot to show you. So of course, when you think of begonias, you think of just your standard green leaf begonias and bronze leaf begonias. I love begonias because, again, when you kind of touch them, they really have that kind of succulent-y kind of feel to them. They're super, super easy to grow, super drought tolerant, can take some heat, can take some wetter conditions. I mean, you throw anything at these guys, and they're just so easy to grow. They bloom constantly throughout the entire summer. You don't have to deadhead them. I mean, just one of the easiest plants out there. They come in the bronze leaf or the green leaf. So let me explain the difference between those because I think it's important. Bronze leaf begonias are designed for full sun. Green leaf begonias are designed for shade. Now, some people have grown green leaf begonias in the sun. They tend to get a little bit of a red tinge to it, maybe a little bit of a browning around the edge, and that's okay. But I like my bronze leaf begonias in full sun and then my green leaf begonias in the shade. They come in 3 different colors, so it's pretty easy to remember. Well, your standard begonias do. I'll show you a little bit of twist here in a second. But they come in white, pink, or red in both, in bronze leaf or green leaf. So very simple color, simple bloom, simple plant. This is kind of your traditional bronze leaf begonia. Then I've got, this is our big leaf begonia, or kind of similar to the dragon wing begonia. Love this. One of my first kind of hanging baskets that I ever bought was this dragon wing begonia. Just awesome, awesome plant. You can see that, how it hangs down. So it's a great hanging basket because those blooms look right at you. That dragon wing or angel wing begonia, really, really pretty. Look at that hanging basket. You can't beat that. In a shady spot, loves it. A little bit of sun's going to be okay on it, but love dragon wing begonias. This is called a whopper or a big leaf begonia. Then you've got these also in bronze leaf as well. So now they've made these big leaf, bronze leaf begonias that are awesome. Bigger in the landscape. You know, these get a little bit of height, just like this one. So these are going to get that kind of that bigger growth habit to them. So they're going to fill up a little bit more space than your typical begonia. These typically get about somewhere between 12 to 18 inches high and wide, kind of a gumdrop, bushy shape. These can get up there. These can get almost 2 feet tall, 16, 18, 24 inches wide in the landscape. Awesome, awesome plants. Give you some height. Great in containers. Love that bloom. I mean, just love that bloom. It's so simple. Just love begonias because they're so easy. I don't have to do anything to them. They don't take a lot of maintenance. Awesome, awesome, awesome plant. So I've got my bronze leaf. I've got my green leaf. I showed you my dragon wing. Let me show you what a pretty green leaf begonia in white looks like. So there's just your basic begonia in a hanging basket. Kind of shows you that white bloom. Awesome, awesome plant. Super, super easy. Blooms nonstop. Can't beat it. So love begonias. And then, of course, Begonia Selenia. I don't know if you know this one, but I love these. This kind of where you can change the color a little bit. These can come in like some yellows and apricots. This is kind of that coral color. Look at that guy. So this is called Begonia Selenia. Selenia dark pink. So I'll show you the tag so you can kind of see how to spell it. Selenia dark pink. So that's a begonia as well. So again, don't have to deadhead it. Don't have to do much. Now these actually prefer a little bit of shade. They can take some sun, but you really want to give them a little bit of shade. But just look at that leaf. The leaf is gorgeous on that. Love that kind of really double kind of carnation looking bloom. Awesome. Awesome plant. Going to be a little bit bushy. Great in hanging baskets because again they kind of hang. So they kind of have that similar habit to a dragon wing begonia. You can kind of see those new leaves coming out, how pretty those are. So really, really awesome begonia. And then let me show you one more Selenia. This is going to blow your mind, I think. It blew mine for sure. Love this one. Look at that. That really dark leaf. There we go. Get some sunlight. So this one is called Hot Coral. So this is Hot Coral. This is also a Selenia begonia. It's going to have a little bit more of a trailing habit because you can see that serrated leaf there. So many different types of begonias out there. I mean, humongous class of plants. Tons and tons of types of different begonias. There used to be a perennial begonia, been harder to get our hands on these days, but it only came in one color. So I love my annual begonias. There's the tag so you can see it. Hot Coral, awesome. Look at that bloom. I mean, that is just amazing. That is just one single bloom right there. So again, don't have to deadhead them. Super, super easy. Love these guys. Again, the Selenia begonias like a little bit of shade. Some of them can take a little bit more sun, but they do prefer some shade. But just awesome how you get that underside of the leaf. You can see kind of there the undersides of the leaves. I just love, I mean, just the leaf alone on this plant is pretty. Look at that variegation in there with those veins, and then the underside with that purple color. Awesome plant. That's why I love begonias. There's so many different choices in them, but I still just love my typical landscape begonias. Just my regular, I mean, I still just, every time I see that, I just say, love that. Love that plant. Again, you kind of get that succulency feel in there. It holds some moisture, very drought tolerant, very easy to grow. Love my begonias. Super, super easy. Red, pink, white, bronze leaf or green leaf. Bronze leaf for the sun, green leaf for the shade. Then they come in the big leaf varieties now. They can get a little bit bigger. Like this guy, get a little bit bigger. Great in hanging baskets, in combo containers. Just so versatile. Don't have to feed them a lot. Again, anything in a container, every 3 to 4 weeks. In the landscape, every 5 to 6 weeks. Super, super easy plant to grow. One of my favorite go-tos. So that's why it showed up at number 2. So again, what did I have a toss-up with? was battling with begonias for my number one. So here we go. Number one, I had to go with my new favorite. Kind of became my favorite about 2 or 3 years ago, Lantana. Lantana, awesome, awesome plant. So there's my number one annuals, Lantana. Not only do I love the perennial Miss Huff Lantana, there's that one perennial Miss Huff Lantana. There are so many annual Lantanas. Love annual Lantana. Just lots of different colors, super, super drought tolerant. I love the fragrance of the leaves. I don't know why. It's kind of different. Some people probably hate it. Some people might make their skin a little itchy. But I just love the leaf. It's very hardcore. I like plants that are tough, durable, going to stick it out with you through tough times. It's been a hot, dry summer. It's been miserable. Lantana can take it. It attracts hummingbirds and butterflies. It's great for the environment, great for the bees and the hummingbirds and the butterflies. It helps our pollinators, gives them lots and lots of nectar. They love them. They can grow in hanging baskets. Awesome in combo containers. Amazing in the landscape. Lots of different sizes. Some that can get 3 to 4 feet high. Some that get 12 to 14 inches high. Some that spread a little bit more. Lots and lots of versatility, and that's why I love it. Now, they do love full sun. That's the only downfall, is I can't say like begonias. That was a tough one, because begonias can grow in sun or shade. This one really needs full sun, so they love full sun. But I love Lantana. Awesome, awesome, awesome plant. Let me show you a couple different varieties. So when I was talking about a little bit more of a spreading habit, you can tell. Look at how bushy this one is. Really nice and bushy. And then look how open habit this one is. So this one's going to give you a little bit more spread on it. And this one is called Luscious Marmalade. So you can see all that orange and red color with a little bit of that yellow as it starts to age. Awesome plant. Again, I love that kind of that color kind of as it begins to open and fade a little bit. This one, I think I lost the tag on. Royal Cosmo. So Royal Cosmo is that hot pink, but when it opens, look at that bud right there. Let's see if I can show you that bud. So there you go. There's the buds right there. Don't have to do much. You don't really have to deadhead them. You can if you want to. Again, anything that you do deadhead will help it bloom. I don't know that I have any on this plant. Maybe I'll have one on this guy over here. Here is Chapel Hill Yellow. So Chapel Hill Yellow is that pure gold yellow. Look at that. Just no other color than yellow. So here's a great example to show you. So there you can see what happens when you don't deadhead. Is you'll get this little brown stick in there. So that's okay. You can't really tell. I mean, you probably can't even see them from here. But then when you look at that branch up close, you can see all those deadheads. Now, again, designed to self-deadhead, to be sterile. So these seeds died, and instead of forming a seed, the branches just died back. Now, again, Lantana is a tough plant, so it's a little bit more branchy. So you're going to probably have to get in there with some pruners. If I had gotten it early, I don't see any on here, but if I had gotten it, here we go. So that one has fizzled. You can see that. That bloom has gone. So while it's young and it's green and it's tender, if I go in there and again just give it a little pinch, then I got it, got the seed head off, and then I won't get these brown stems like this. But again, Lantana is awesome. In the landscape, you probably won't even notice them. Just let them go. You don't have to do anything to them. You can prune them. So again, you can kind of see this long arm here. I can take that and prune it back to that branch right there. You see those little leaves coming out? If I pruned it here, it would form a little bit of bushier habit. Chapel Hill Yellow was supposed to be a perennial. We sell it as an annual because we can't always guarantee that it's going to make it through a very cold winter. Miss Huff Lantana is our perennial Lantana, but Chapel Hill Yellow has come back a couple years in my yard. 1 year it didn't, of course, when we had a very cold winter, but it's an awesome, awesome one. And there's lots of other varieties. Let's see, did I grab another one? I think this one's going to be my Teeny Genie. So Teeny Genie is that compact one. So again, when I talked about Lantana, the Chapel Hill, I believe gets somewhere in that 24 to 36 inch range, so 2 to 3 feet high and wide, so a bigger Lantana. Teeny Genie is tiny. I mean, this one doesn't get very big. Let me just make sure I get my sizes right before I misquote it. So this one is, let's see, 30 inches. So naturally forms a compact mound, 30 inches tall and wide with no pruning. Now, Monrovia typically gives you a California size because they're from California where they have a year-round growing season. But here, probably somewhere in the 14 to 18 inch range. That's as big as I've probably seen them get. But Teeny Genie is awesome. Look at all those colors. You get yellow, orange, pink, and red all in one plant. Super, super compact. Awesome plant. So again, Lantanas are my #1 annual for Hampton Roads. Gotta love it. When we get hot and we get dry, you need something that's going to be there to fight the battle with you and just to continue to kind of make it through that time frame. And Lantana does it. Great for the hummingbirds, the butterflies, the bees. Love it. Awesome in containers, hanging baskets. You can get them in so many different versatile colors. You got lots of different color arrangements, from the gold yellows to the lemon yellows to purple to these orange and reds to the pinks. I mean, the possibilities are endless. They're great in containers. Love how they can kind of pop in and out of plants. So again, how to grow Lantana? Very, very easy. Grow them in any kind of soil. They're very versatile. Great in containers. Awesome plant. I know I've seen a lot of questions going. I kind of wanted to get through my list, so I'm going to get to all your questions, but I'll go through it real quick. My list one more time. I will just say the names so you know my top 10 list. At number 10 was Geraniums. Number 9 is Petunias and Million Bells. I grouped those two together, had to. 8 was Coleus. Number 7 was Diamond Frost Euphorbia, just because it's so easy to use. Number 6 was Hibiscus. Number 5 were Impatience. Love the new Guinea and Sunpatiens. And then number 4 was Portulaca or Purslane. Again, drought tolerance and just easy to grow. Love those. Scaevola was in my top 3. I just love that plant. Number 2 was Begonias because they're so versatile. Lots of different colors. You can grow them in sun or shade. Awesome plant. And then number 1 was Lantana. Love my bees, my butterflies, my hummingbirds. Love the drought tolerance, the toughness of that plant. Just can't beat it. So there's my top 10 list. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to go through and answer all your questions. We're going to do this again with perennials. Love my perennials. So I hope you enjoyed this seminar. It wasn't really necessarily a seminar. I hope you got some education out of some of these plants. Just my top 10 list of saying, here's some of my favorite plants. This is what I've grown. But I'm going to go through and answer all your questions. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. We'll be back Friday. If you want to join us Friday, we're going to be talking about maintenance and care for berries and fruits. So if you're growing an apple tree, or you want to grow an apple tree, or persimmons, or blueberries, or any of those types of berries, we're going to be talking about berry care and how to grow berries in this area. So again, kind of that edible class, specifically designed on blueberries, blackberries, strawberries, persimmons, fruit trees, figs, all of those. So we're going to talk about all of that and really kind of the maintenance side, because that's what we're starting to get into. Less on the planting side and more on how to care for them, because I think that's the biggest issue that most people come across. So thanks again for joining. I'm going to start to go through some of these questions and answer those. And again, if you're leaving, have a great day. Enjoy. All right, so Chris asks, so let me see. I want to make sure I get all of these questions here. All right, so it looks like I don't know if I'm losing questions or if I'm gaining them back. I've got a lot on here. So let's see, Scaevola, somebody replied to that. Thank you for helping me spell that. Are they available right now? Yes, they should be available at all locations. So whether you're at our independent store, our Great Neck location, or any of the markets, we should have Scaevola. Makes nice borders. Yes, definitely. So Teresa mentioned Osmocote, good fertilizer, great fertilizer. Ours is our greenleaf fertilizer. I like greenleaf personally over Osmocote just a little bit, Teresa, and that's because Osmocote feeds for 6 months. It's a very slow fertilizer, whereas greenleaf gives it a little kick, gives it that nice big punch right at the beginning, and then it'll continue to feed for another 2 to 3 months after that. So Osmocote's great. I'm not discounting it. I sell it. I sell Osmocote, of course I do. But it is a slow release fertilizer, so you see little results throughout an entire growing season for a 6-month time frame, whereas greenleaf gives you that little bit of that kick. So love my greenleaf as well. And Chris said, I just bought those Selenias. Mine have yellow, red, and orange in one pot on my patio. Isn't that awesome? Love that. So Monica said for shade or sun. So definitely, if you're talking about Selenia Begonias, I prefer them in a little bit of shade. I think they do a little bit better. Some people have grown them very successfully in sun, but they definitely require, I think they require a little bit of shade. So Christine said, I love my begonias. Great. Yeah, so green leaf begonias, shade. Bronze leaf begonias, sun. Selenia begonias, because they're so different, a little bit of shade. And then lantanas. So Teresa said, I guess you're number one. Let's see. I feel like I've lost some questions. Maybe there was too many. So Chris said, I love lantanas. So many color choices. I planted mine under my tulip magnolia tree in full sun. They keep coming back each year. One grows very tall into the tree. I know, and that's probably our Miss Huff lantana. Awesome, awesome plant. So somebody's asking, are there perennial? Lee was asking, are there perennial lantana? So yes, there is. The Miss Huff is the one that we sell as a perennial because we know it's reliable, whereas the annual lantanas, some of them can come back, some of them can't. Just depends on our winters and depends on the situation that you're growing in. Monica said, love the presentation. Thank you. These lantanas are all annuals. Yes, the ones that I showed are all annuals. So somebody said, haha, good to know on the Monrovia measurements. Yeah, Wendy, Monrovia is a California-based company. They, of course, they can't change all their tags depending on their areas. I could be wrong. I have been wrong in the past. Don't get me wrong. But Teeny Genie, from my understanding, was always a much smaller lantana. So for it to say 30 inches high always tends to make me think of Monrovia is in California. And yeah, in a 10-month growing season, it could get 30 inches high for sure. But in this area where it's only going to grow for about 6 to 7 months, it's not going to get quite that big. So everybody's got great comments. Everybody's saying thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so I think 70% of my plants come from McDonald Garden Center. Thank you, Monica. Thanks for supporting our local business. So Wendy said, would 6 to 7 hours of afternoon sun count as full sun if there's shade all morning? Yes, that is full sun in my eyes. So morning shade and then all afternoon sun would be full sun. I mean, because that's the hot, hot, hot sun. So that in my eyes is full sun. Really, shade is afternoon shade. Now, some people might get 2 hours of sunlight in the middle part of the day. I'd still consider that probably pretty shady. But when you get that 6 to 7, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours of that hot, hot sun, then that's full sun to me. Monica said lots of shade in Norfolk, looking for some color. Green leaf begonias, my favorite. Oh, so someone wanted to know if geraniums are deer resistant. That's a good question. I used to be really good at knowing my deer-resistant plants. I would have to say I'd have to check on that. I don't think so. I think the deer will eat the blooms off of them. They typically won't eat the leaves. Geraniums have that kind of scent to them. A lot of people grow the scented geraniums, and so they probably won't mess with the leaves. They have kind of a fuzzy texture to them, and most deer aren't going to eat those. But they probably would love to munch on these. So usually probably what's going to happen with geraniums in deer country and Williamsburg and in areas that you have lots of deer issues, they'll probably eat the blooms off, leave the leaves, which is kind of defeating the purpose. So again, great in hanging baskets or in containers that are up on your porch. And so that's where I typically get my annual color if you're living in deer country. Is hanging baskets and in your containers. But there are some deer resistant plants. I mean, for sure, lantana is deer resistant. Petunias are deer resistant. Petunias don't have typical issues. I think begonias are pretty deer resistant. Some people have had experience with the deer eating begonias. So hopefully that answered your question. Marigolds, great option, Teresa. Marigolds are deer resistant for sure. We used to have Calliope, which I don't know that I've seen this year, but that's kind of got some spikes on them, but really pretty annual. Those are pretty deer resistant. Scaevola is deer resistant. Well, no, Scaevola is not. Scaevola the deer will eat. I take that back because I actually have deer, and the Scaevola will nibble at my container. You can use repellents. I use repellents on some of mine. I had to spray my Scaevola with deer repellent, so that's an option as well. Are some Coleus smaller, others huge? I've had some outgrow my containers. For sure, Wendy. Some Coleus get big. Some are, some bigger plants. Again, kind of looking at the size. Some of them, like alligator tears, is one that comes to mind. Or there's one called coral. They're smaller Coleus. There's some trailing Coleus. So there's a ton of different types of Coleus. Look at the size of look on the tag, see what size it gets. Usually the bigger the leaf, the bigger the plant. So smaller kind of leaves, doesn't get quite as big. And then you've got your Kong. Look how big that is. So you got your big leaf. Those are typically going to get bigger. Then you got your smaller ones. And look at the size right there. You can kind of see the difference. Again, more soil. But that's typically how you can kind of see. Again, just depends on the plant. Look at your tags. If you need more information, the internet's a great resource these days, especially when trying to figure out exactly what a plant grows. Because sometimes you get one like this that just says Coleus Defiance, but there's no grower's tag in it. So even for me to know what size this plant gets, because I can't remember everything, I would probably just go to the internet, look up Defiance, go to a reputable website like Monrovia or Proven Winners, or some of the Ashleys. So if you saw like this one right here, the Ashley's Annuals, they have a great website. So you can get lots of good information off of those growers' websites because they grow most of these plants. So make sure you're getting it from a reputable site. Our son, let's see, I plant marigolds with my green beans and tomatoes. Very good idea. Helps with keeping some of those insects away. And good tip on the leaf size, so thank you, good. And read the tags. Read the tags, and again, we've got our smartphones on us all day long, so you can use your smartphone to look up any information. And like I said, I just trust the websites that I see our growers are using. Proven Winners, Ashley's Annuals, Monrovia. Those are some great websites that give great information. Just remember that Monrovia trick sometimes. But those are some great ones. And then some of the tags in there will tell you right there how big they get. So, all right, I think I got through some of the questions. I'm going to go back and look at this because it looks like I maybe had lost some questions because the list got too long. So I'm going to go back and if I missed anybody's questions, I will answer them when we get done here. But again, thanks for joining me. I'll be back Friday, and I'll be back all the way through mid-June. I think we're scheduled out. So check our list on our website if you want to tune back into any of these. We're excited to be here and continue to be supporting our Hampton Roads community. So come in and see us. Come and buy some of my favorite annuals. All right, talk to you later.